Hello, and welcome back to the Fae Banner Review, where we talk about new heroes featuring one singular new hero, and from a game missing so much of its cast no less. Today, we have a brand new Engage banner featuring units that are, in fact, not new. And as per tradition, I will be using this coveted line graph that may or may not be a line graph at the end of the day to rank the brand new Engage banner, as well as the circle graph that may or may not be a circle at the end of the day alongside it. Today's rankings will be based on how many characters that they have left from Engage, and if you could hit that like and subscribe button, I'd really appreciate it. Thank you. First up, we have female Alear, and she's a rearmed unit. She brought a sword this time, which is one of the last weapon types to get updated. Now it could do the same thing that every other arcane does, but with newer bonuses. Arcane Khalid Bulk does the standard stuff that every other arcane does now, but grants Draconic Hex, Hexblade, and 6 attack and speed at the start of the phase to herself and anyone within 2 spaces. And as for her exclusive skill, she has Covenant Blast, which is a 5 cooldown special that boosts her damage by her entire speed stat. It grants Distant Counter, Divinely Inspiring, and Speed-based Frozen to herself and allies within 3 spaces at the start of the phase. The Bonded effect to the highest attack ally. Support partners and allies with Bonded get 40% special damage reduction during combat once per turn if the foe initiates combat and they're within 3 spaces, or as many times if they're 4 or more spaces away. It grants Alear 40% special damage reduction during combat, and Potent Follow 100%. That sure is a whole lot of nothing. Okay, let's start with the positives. Okay, now that that's out of the way, we can move on to the indifference. I like the arcane even if it's copy and pasted again. I think I said it when Rearmed Sorin dropped, but I don't mind these being copy and pasted because they're inheritables and they just need to function, and this does function. Draconic Hex is a solid bonus since it grants a fair bit of stat swings and it can be given out to everyone. Hexblade on the other hand is amazing. Only when you ignore everything being min-maxed and them actively dropping effects that disable the effect, but besides that, it sure is a bonus called Hexblade, I guess. It's still the same stuff, but it's good nonetheless. Besides that, I can't really say I care about this unit whatsoever. The support she gives out isn't too bad, at least. Divinely Inspiring is a bunch of stats, special jumps, and in-combat HP, which is good. The speed follow-up bonus is also really nice defensively. She also gives out 40% special damage reduction to anybody with Bonded or a support partner, which is also very strong. But that's all she really offers, and all this combined doesn't really feel good enough to justify using her. They are solid effects, you could definitely make use of them, but so many units offer way more supportively. And this isn't even accounting for her combat, which I'd argue is lacking even more than her support. She has Distant Counter, Potent 100, and damage reduction, which isn't bad, but it's also not enough either. The arcane status isn't really helping her case here at all since everything has to come from one skill. Alear kinda reminds me of an early Book 9 unit where they started making everyone into a combat support hybrid unit, but didn't give enough in either role to justify them for the most part. And you would think with how long this special is, there'd be more to it, but there really isn't. How can it say so much while saying so little? Even with her shortcomings, I wouldn't want the takeaway here to be that she's bad, just that she's synonyms for bad. But if there's one thing she is good at, it's being a rearmed unit. She comes with a bunch of inheritable skills, including Attack Speed Taker Burst and 2 new skills in Swift Life and Thunder Spectre. Swift Life grants 7 visible HP, 9 attack and speed during combat, 7 true damage and first hits true damage reduction, speed-based null follow-up, an additional 3 attack and speed if within 3 spaces of an ally and above 25% HP, and 7 HP after combat if meeting either condition. And Thunder Spectre is Brutal Tempest but newer as it has built-in Canto Distance, extra movement, grants up to Spectrum 6 during combat, 5 true damage and 5 first hits true damage reduction. They're pretty cool, yeah. A newer Brutal Tempest was inevitable at this point, and it's the upgrade we more or less expected of it. Extra stats, true damage, and true damage reduction is a nice addition to the skill. Can't really say the same for the new Perfect upgrade. It has a lot of attack and speed as well as no follow-up, but it suffers from not being Rise Above. It's kind of hard to compete with that skill at the moment, but it's not bad at least. Honestly, I think Taker Burst is the highlight here, but it's still a lot of good infantry fodder overall. You could do so much worse than this.
I am the Fire Emblem!
And other than that, that sure is female Alear. As a unit, I really do not care about her whatsoever, which lines up with basically every one of her alts. She seems okay for support, but I don't think she does enough of it, let alone the fact that she has no combat to compensate either. She'll probably function okay enough, but I don't know if she's worth using for anything really. She really feels like she was built to be foddered, which, yeah, rearmed unit, duh. I could also be entirely wrong on this, it's not like that hasn't happened before, but it really does feel like she gets the short end, especially when compared to male Alear. And speaking of which, next there's male Alear, and he's an aided unit. You know, I would understand the double Alear inclusion more if Engage wasn't missing so much of its cast. Nothing against either of them really, but did we need both of them on this banner when we could have gotten anyone else? Anyone new? Yes, we did. Let's see. He comes with Divine Aid Art, which is a slaying dual-phase Brave Dragonstone with adaptive damage. It grants 25 true damage during combat, 15 true damage reduction, an additional 15 when a foe's special goes off, null counter disrupt, and for himself and any ally within 3 rows and columns, it grants Spectrum stats, full tempo, and speed base frozen. He also comes with a pure FA skill in Emblem's Marvel, which has built-in distant counter, it grants Divinely Inspiring, Bulwark, and the 80% AoE damage reduction bonus to himself and any ally within 3 spaces at the start of the phase. It neutralizes all his penalties if within 3 spaces of 3 or more allies after the start of the turn and after an enemy phase. It grants once per map Miracle, Spectrum 9 during combat, and 10 to 20 true damage and true damage reduction based on whether his Miracle went off. That sure is Winter Alear, but newer. And Sami, but newer. Male Alear has consistently had way better ults over female Alear, and it's surprising just how large the quality difference is. Dual Phase Brave, Full Tempo, and Speed Base Frozen are solid effects to have for an enemy phase frontliner. The weapon is otherwise the same stuff more or less, but it is good still. His A skill got a massive revamp though, as it grants Distant Counter and Miracle, just like every other male Alear A skill. And yeah, new effects too, sure, yeah. Making Bulwark into a status instead of something he'd have to run as one of his skills was a really nice choice. That along with the other bonuses are really useful to have for his role. I think the thing that really stood out was the penalty cleanse though. It means it'll be harder to keep debuffs on him, which is great for tanking. It doesn't affect penalties that are applied at the same time, but even the start of turn ones are really strong to have. The other thing he got in his A skill was more true damage and true damage reduction that's tied to his Miracle effect. Miracle was normally his failsafe, but now there's a trade-off if it goes off. It'll grant 20 instead of 10, which is a lot from his A skill, and when paired with other skills that grant damage reduction, he could end up being really annoying to take down. Although given the amount of pass in the game, it shouldn't be as hard to target his allies, but until you do that, he's probably going to be super difficult to take down. I could see him lasting a while as a frontliner because of that. I give it 3 months at most. Alear also comes with Pair Up, Thunder Spectre, and a brand new Dragon special in Dragon's Briar, which is a 5 cooldown special that boosts damage by his entire defense stat. It grants unconditional 40% special damage reduction twice per combat, and it grants 40% damage reflection on their next attack. That's a really loaded special. It kind of feels like dragons needed something for a while, and this is an okay enough start. It's weird that they made it defense leaning since a lot of dragons aren't really known for their defense besides the armors. The unconditional damage reduction and mini reflect definitely make up for it though. That alone makes it appealing to so many dragons, even if they don't have a crazy amount of defense to work with. Besides that, Pair Up is still a good tanking B skill, and Thunder Spectre is Thunder Spectre from the other Alear. Good fodder for infantry units and nobody else. Also good if you like sharing with way better fodder on the banner.
Let's go!
And other than that, that sure is male Alear. And Sami. He's a newer frontliner with conditions in a day and age where units don't have conditions anymore. If the other male Alear alts are anything to go by though, he should be really good. It'll just take more thinking to use him since he has a tether, but this is also a day and age where units don't have to think. If he ends up being mediocre because of it, well, you always got Sami. And then there's Jade, and they're the team out this time around. I'm surprised they took this long to put her in. I know she's not that popular even by Engage standards, but they could have totally gone away with a premium version of her before this. But they did realize their mistake, and to make up for it, she's an irredeemable generic armor right before the Choose Your Legends BST bump. Isn't that nice? Jade comes with Forged Axe Plus, which grants 6 attack and defense to herself and allies within 3 spaces at the start of the phase. It grants Spectrum 5 during combat, true damage based on visible bonuses, and true damage reduction based on 50% of those bonuses. She also comes with Ignis, Attack Defense Ideal, and Wily Fighter, and most of these skills are in fact not ideal. At least Wily Fighter is in the demote pool now, so I'll gladly take that. Same with the weapon, since it's a decent enough filler option. It's obviously not arcane levels of great, good, okay, it's just okay, but it still grants true damage and damage reduction and a fair bit of it too. Otherwise, yeah, that sure is Jade, I guess. She's a generic armor before the BST bump in a month, which makes her a very questionable merge project for scoring. If they give her trainee BST, then that would make up for it, but there's no reason to merge her since it will get better stat sticks down the line. Of course, if you like her, then that's a different story, but the only people that I know that like Jade are people who are subscribed. That was really bad, I'm sorry. And finally, we have Groa, and she's a light mythic that grants an attack blessing. She's the brand new Tempest Trio OC that also happens to be Sather's kid. Or I guess one of her 3 kids, because IS is really funny like that sometimes. What an interesting choice to make for your Tempest Trial plot. Anyway, Groa comes with Groa, sure, why not? It's a slaying blue tone with built-in Canto distance. It grants Spectrum 15 during combat, 25 true damage, 15 true damage reduction, player phase desperation. After taking an action, she inflicts Time's Grip on the closest foes and -7 speed and res, sabotage, and exposure on the target and anyone within 2 spaces. And if she used an assist skill, she gets another action and Canto refresh. She also comes with a pure FB skill in Maiden of Light, which has built-in pass, grants Coax to an ally she assists. When using an assist, she grants 6 attack and speed, empathy, and Time's Gate to herself, the ally she's targeting, and any ally within 2 spaces of them, as well as 1 special jump. Anyone with Coax active gets a bunch of true damage based on attack and speed bonuses plus 10, and Dual Phase Brave if they aren't a savior. Allies with empathy only get 10 true damage during combat, and inflicts -5 attack speed and res during combat, 15 true damage reduction, no follow-up, and the breath effect. Wow, it's Harmonic Hilda, but more stacked. Where do I begin with this? How about the beginning? The first thing I immediately gravitated towards is that she's an action eco unit without a PRF assist skill, which is really amazing. Units like Haether can't use the Byleth Ring because of its conditions, but Groa is free to do so, which already elevates her in support. But even ignoring the ring utility, her debuffs also target closest and not within a column, which makes it easier to splash. The only part that doesn't stick as easily is the Time's Grip effect, since that only hits the closest, but that's probably for the best. Time's Grip is a -4 Spectrum Omni Feud debuff, which probably would have been way too strong if it hit everyone multiple times a turn. Her weapon alone already grants extra actions, Canto refresh, and a bunch of debuffs on an assist, which is already really good. When including her PRFB skill, you also get Dual Phase Brave support, Empathy, Time's Gate, which is super warping, a bunch of true damage support, special jumps, and stuff for her own combat. That's an obscene amount of stuff from one unit. Even if it reads like they turned Hilda into a beast skill, it's more or less that with warping utility and better combat capabilities, which isn't exactly the most interesting, but it is good. Hilda, even now, is still really strong, so making a newer one is going to be strong by default. The only differences come with some of the debuffs and the fact that she's an offense mythic, which does more for her longevity-wise. She also has the benefit of being able to shadow shift twice because she gets the Canto before taking her second action. Again, it's not a lot new, but it works, and maybe it's because I'm used to units being copy and pasted verbatim at this point, but I'm pretty content with it. She's very supportive, and I like what she does a lot. Groa also comes with Reposition, Logic, Attack Speed Aria, and a brand new C skill in Shadow Shift X that is in fact not an X skill. It's Shadow Shift that grants 5 true damage and 5 first hits true damage reduction during combat. It grants Spectrum 4 and 7 HP after combat for anyone within 3 rows and columns. Okay, sure. Why did they call it Shadow Shift X when it's not an X skill? It kinda threw me off for a second. Anyway, it's definitely more premium Shadow Shift, but I don't think it's that substantial of an upgrade. The stats are nice, but you could still get away with regular Shadow Shift. Besides that, Logic is a fine enough mage special. Aria is Rise Above if it was bad, but Flyers can't get Rise Above, so this is the next best option. And Reposition is Rise Above if it was an assist skill and completely unrelated to Rise Above. Still nice to have though.
Please.
And other than that, that sure is Groa. It's a mythic version of Ilian Hilda, which is really strong. Action eco, warping support, feud, brave, true damage, debuffs, and flyer utility is a lot for one unit. Groa being an offensive mythic also makes her a great merge project if you don't already have a dedicated light core. Being a combination of support and mythic means she shouldn't fall off for a very long time. Even if they release better support, she's still a light mythic which holds a lot of value. She's probably my favorite non-Sami unit here. And to top everything off, we have a brand new Grand Hero battle unit in Boucheron. We have no idea what they do, but I'm just happy to see that it's not a third Alear on this banner. If they're good, then that sure is synonym for good. Otherwise, the BST bump next month will do them in. Personally, I've been waiting for him to get in since book 7, so this is a nice surprise. I'll probably build him up. And that's about it for the update this time around. Yep. Okay, bye. And now that we've gone over the brand new Engage units, I think it's time we rank the banner on the line graph that may or may not be a line graph at the end of the day. And would you look at that? The brand new Engage banner has earned a score so high it doesn't even fit on the graph. Out of 10. And based on my understanding of the banner, I believe that it would be best fit somewhere around this area of the circle graph. There's a lot of text and it's hard to read sometimes. I'm sure some of them are fine though, and you may be wondering to yourself, is it worth engaging with this banner? Wait a minute, engage? But is this banner worth your orbs? Maybe? I don't know. I think there's a fair bit of nice things on the banner, but stuff you could reasonably live without. Male Alear is the latest frontliner without any style utility, but makes up for it by being really annoying to take down. He plays a lot more slowly and defensively, but if his survivability ends up being that good, then he'll be really annoying to fight for a while. And you get the benefit of an aided Sami. And you get the drawback of sharing with a worse Alear. At least her fodder is good, and it's definitely the best time to summon for it if you want to update some units. But as a unit herself, she seems really mediocre. Besides the Alears, Groa is another action eco unit with a lot of great support. Being a light mythic also helps since she'll end up aging a lot better as a result. A copy of her wouldn't be too bad to have. And Jade sure is generic with a J. All the Jade fans out there, I wish you luck on your endeavors. But yeah, it's honestly kind of skippable for the most part, or at least not worth prioritizing over other banners. The Cheerleader banner has a lot of amazing units that will probably offer more overall. Fodder-wise, it's not as strong, but there are nice skills on it. The Summer banner is still active, and that's a lot more fodder-heavy than unit-heavy. It's more of a catch-up option if you don't already own Mythic Baldur and Hother or Entwine Sharena. This is also your last chance to get Iron Fighter for a bit if you care about that. Choose Your Legends 10 is also in a month, and they'll probably have a bunch of really great stuff as usual. There's just a lot to consider, so unless you want to update a favorite sword unit of yours, I think you're better off saving TBH, 2BH, to be quite H. You know, all things considered, it's not a very engaging banner. Wait a minute, engage?